Your avatar is like kind of weird. Like, are you using something to like change your camera view?
You're watching a recording of a very strange remote job interview.
Can you take your hand and put it like in front of your face to like cover it partially?
We've only got the audio recording of one side of the call, but the candidate asks if David's requests are serious.
No, it's not a joke because I can see that you're using some kind of software.
The candidate refuses to comply with David's request, so he shuts down the call.
Put it like this, in front of your face. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
David posted this recording on LinkedIn earlier this year. I caught up with him to try and find out who was behind this unusual encounter. To my surprise, this wasn't the first time something like this had happened to his firm. Last year, his co-founder also interviewed another candidate who appeared to use AI to disguise themselves.
So my first instinct was, wow, okay, like it happened again. Like, what do I do now? And I thought, okay, this time I will record it, because when the first incident happened, nobody believed us.
David's company has received more than 20 applications from other candidates that he suspects were also trying to hide their identity.
When you just search them in Google, you won't find anything about them. You will only find their fake persona, which is a little bit weird. And when you start looking deeply in their LinkedIn profiles, you will see that the accounts usually are pretty new. We talked with experts and they believe it may be related to the North Korea.
While we can't be sure that the candidate in that video was definitely North Korean, other recruiters have told the BBC that they've interviewed candidates that are also disguising themselves. And cybersecurity and software development professionals have also reportedly received countless similar suspicious applications. But why would North Korea be involved in this kind of deception? Well, North Korea's cyber capabilities received widespread attention back in 2014 with the infamous Sony Pictures cyber attack. Since then, hackers associated with North Korea's military are believed to have attacked organisations across the globe, allegations that North Korea denies. And in February this year, hackers thought to be working for North Korea stole $1.5 billion from cryptocurrency firm Bybit. And the evidence suggests the IT workers are also raising funds for the North Korean state, but in a much more mundane way. With the help of human rights organisation PS Score, the BBC has interviewed a North Korean IT worker. Jin Soo, as we're calling him, was an IT worker for several years before he defected. To protect his identity, his words are spoken by an actor. He says that he was part of a secret scheme run by the North Korean state. Most of the wages he and other North Koreans have earned working online for Western companies ultimately goes to fund the regime. Workers are set quotas for how much money they need to bring in.
The lowest salary usually get is $5,000 a month. That leaves about $750 in my pocket, and all the rest goes to the state. We know it's like robbery, but we just accept it as our fate, and we just work, because it's much better than when we were in North Korea.
Most North Koreans are never allowed to leave their country, but the lack of access to the internet means the IT workers are moved abroad in order to fulfill their missions.
Internet access is limited inside North Korea. Of course, there are limited places where it is possible, but they send us abroad so that we can work with easy internet access. China is the most common base. Physically, we deploy to China the most, followed by Russia and then some Southeast Asian countries.
Although they are outside North Korea, Jin Soo tells us the IT workers live and work in cramped conditions. But despite this, the job is seen as desirable in North Korea, because the small amount of money they get to keep is worth a lot back home.
When I was in North Korea, the hardest part was getting enough to eat. But once you get to China, there is plenty of food you can have. Most overseas IT workers are fairly satisfied. During the 3 or 4 years they work abroad, they generally don't have many complaints. Some people in my team watched Korean dramas. For example, I didn't really like dramas though. I watched sports, I liked European soccer and watched the Champions League.
There are extensive sanctions on North Korea, largely due to its nuclear weapons program. Westerners aren't allowed to do business with North Korea. To get around this, IT workers conceal their identity from potential employers. Often this involves getting people from other countries to lend them their identities to use.
We target countries like Hungary, Ukraine, Turkey, and the UK, and then we launder our identities once more there, like, let's share your identity in exchange. I'll pay you a certain amount of money per month, or something like that. So it's like you're buying people's ID. They think we're Chinese. We spend 60 to 70% of our time contacting and researching people to fake identities.
It's difficult for us to independently verify Jinsu's testimony, but what he said is supported by the accounts of other defectors gathered by PS Score. Separately, Hyung-Sung Lee told us he met North Koreans working in IT when he was travelling as a businessman for the regime in China back in 2008. He managed to secretly stay in touch with some of them after he defected in 2014.
The regime's main source of income now is cybercrime. So the regime won't let IT workers go, and that's why they enhance the security. They have the hostage in country, right? Their parents, their siblings there. If they leave the facility and try to escape, and I would say less than 48 hours, they're all captured by the Chinese police.
A United Nations Security Council report estimated that the IT worker scheme brings in between $250 to $600 million a year for North Korea. Much of that comes from US companies, but now North Korea is increasingly looking to other markets.
So my role is really tracking the bad guys. We see what different cyber threat actors are doing, but what we see in Europe is far less awareness. We're often briefing security leaders across the continent who are, number one, surprised that this is even an issue at all. What we see in general is Europe doesn't really have its guard up against this issue, and that is allowing these IT workers to get in pretty easily.
We contacted the North Korean embassy in London to ask them about the allegations in this story. They did not respond. Meanwhile, Jinsu is using his IT skills to help him adapt his new life, away from the repressive North Korean regime.
We got used to making money by doing illegal things, but we can't do that here. IT technology is a global technology, so you can work and live anywhere. I can now make a lot of money and see the world.